How's it going today, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day so far. So in this video today, I'm going to give you guys an overall update on my investment plan for 2021. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about why I actually don't have any immediate plans to invest money into the stock market in 2021. I've actually been making a lot of different investments outside of the realm of stocks that I'm super excited to share about in this video today. So over the last 6 months, I've actually made quite a few changes in my financial life here. I've made 3 different direct equity investments into startups. I also sold a good portion of my Bitcoin that I bought much of back in 2018 and used those proceeds towards the purchase of a second home in Miami. And so that's been pretty much the 2 biggest changes that I've had going on this year. And surprisingly or surprisingly not, I have actually not put very much money at all into the stock market since October of 2020. Now, I do have a small speculative portfolio with around $1,000 that I play with, usually with options trades or something like that. But in terms of actually putting large sums of money into the stock market, I haven't done that since October, and I really have 0 plans to do that this year. And I want to tell you guys why this is, and specifically what I'm going to be doing with my money instead of putting it into the stock market. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the new home purchase because I plan on doing an entire video about that, and I actually don't even close on this property until next Wednesday, so do excuse the appearance here as I am recording this video in my Airbnb, but I do plan on doing a video specifically looking at the property, why I decided to relocate my business to Florida, and the tax savings associated with that move. So we'll cover that in a future video. But for the time being, what I mostly want to focus on in this video is those 3 different angel investments that I made back in 2020. I want to talk more about them, why I've personally decided to allocate more money towards this investment, and then potentially how you may be able to get involved with angel investing or venture capital as well, even if you're not an accredited investor right now. Also, guys, if you enjoy this level of transparency in videos like this where I share my different investments, all that I ask is that you drop a like on this video for the YouTube algorithm. I've been doing this for about 5 years on YouTube here. I'm always as transparent as possible with you guys about my investments because I view it as a good learning experience overall, but I certainly only do this because I think it's helpful. There's no real reason that I have to publicly share my investments other than just to add value to you guys and maybe expand your realm of what's possible as far as investment. So if you enjoy that transparency, guys, go ahead and drop a like. That is very much appreciated. So the first thing I want to touch on is the 3 different angel investments that I made in 2020 in the sum of $75,000. Now, unfortunately, the world of venture capital and angel investment is a little bit different than the stock market, and a lot of the information I've been shared about these companies is not public information. So because this is still a private company, you can't buy shares of their stock or anything like that, a lot of their plans are actually secretive, and I've actually had to sign documents saying that I'm not going to disclose a lot of this information. So I want to apologize in advance. I can't tell you guys specifics about how much money I invested into each of these startups or valuations or anything like that. But what I can do is tell you how much in total I've invested and give you kind of a high-level overview of these different companies and the exciting things they have going on. So we'll talk more specifics about the angel investments later, but right now I do have to say a quick thank you to today's video sponsor, which is Our Crowd. Do you ever wish you invested early in some of the best performing IPOs of 2019 and 2020 before they hit the stock market? Well, some Our Crowd investors were, and you could potentially be one of those people too. With Our Crowd, accredited investors like myself are able to make direct equity investments into companies in a fast and easy way, and one of the key benefits here is by making a direct equity investment in a startup, you're getting in way earlier than the herd does when they find out about an investment after something called an IPO. Now, there's been some crazy startups that have come out of Our Crowd so far, including the startup known as Lemonade, as well as Beyond Meat. So that means that investors on Our Crowd actually became early on investors in these companies before they went public, back when they were still privately held companies. So we've already seen a massively successful track record with some of these companies coming out of our crowd. Our crowd is investing in medical technology, breakthroughs in agricultural tech and food production, as well as solutions in the multi-billion-dollar robotic industry, as well as so much more. There are literally so many interesting and innovative companies on the cutting edge of their particular industries available right now for investment over on our crowd if you are an accredited investor. And even if you're not, they also have a wide array of educational resources that are 100% free for anyone to take a look at. So even if you're not an accredited investor right now, and you still want to learn more about the world of venture capital and angel investing, I would still highly recommend checking out the resources over on our crowd just to learn as much as possible. However, if you are accredited like myself, you can click that link below and within seconds view live listings that you can invest in right now if you want to also do some type of venture capital investment. And to tell you guys the truth here, one of the main reasons why I personally began investing in these startups is because I got tired of being so late to the game. Because I don't think a lot of people understand that by the time you invest in a company that has gone public and had an IPO, you're very late to the game in terms of the growth potential that company has. By investing in these startups, you're getting in way earlier. However, it is way riskier, but the idea here is that if you do hit a big winner, you own a much larger piece of that company because you bought shares of it back when it had a much lower valuation. Then, when it goes public, that's typically when the early investors sell, and then the newer investors buy those shares. So I personally got tired of missing out on these deals and only being able to invest at the last possible minute when companies went public. So that is the primary reason why I've began directing a ton of money into angel investing, and I want to do a number more like this in 2021. So my goal for this year is to do 4 equity investments into other startups in the total of $100,000 to maybe $150,000, depending on my overall financial situation. I ended up having to put a lot more down on my Florida property than expected, so I'm gonna have to save up and replenish my emergency funds and whatnot for a bit. But later on this year, you should definitely expect me to be, putting more money into these angel investments and hopefully sharing as much as possible here with you guys in these videos. So just to be clear again, guys, other than dividend reinvestment and my small speculative portfolio that I play around with, which is around $1,000, I have not put a penny into the stock market since October of 2020. Not to mention, I'm very transparent about this investment portfolio, and I'm going to be revisiting my monthly portfolio update series starting soon here. So if you want to follow that, guys, I'll go ahead and put a card up in the corner. But I will tell you guys, if you look at that portfolio, although I am taking a lot of risk by investing in startups because odds are the majority of them are not going to be very successful, I am hedging some of that risk because my entire investment portfolio is 100% grandpa stocks. It's literally like Coca-Cola, 3M, probably your grandfather would love my portfolio. So I'm not in growth, I'm not in anything risky or speculative, I'm just in blue chip dividend payers. And if you're curious, I'm actually following something called the Barbell investing strategy, which is where you have some very low risk investments and then you have not much in the middle, and on the other side you have very high risk. So for me, these angel investments are very high risk, high reward, but many of them will probably become worthless. And on the other hand, my stocks will probably not have as much growth potential, but they're not gonna disappear overnight. And my plan here, guys, is to overall make 10 different investments into startups. And my goal is to just have one big winner. And oftentimes that's all you need. It doesn't matter if the other 9 end up going nowhere. You really just need one big winner if you're early. If you get there before the herd does and you get in on the ground floor, oftentimes, guys, that's all you need. I'm sure you've heard about Gary Vaynerchuk talking about how he had the opportunity to invest in Uber and how he, didn't follow through with that. This is exactly what we're talking about here, is when somebody has the opportunity to invest in what could be the next big thing at the ground floor or close to it. So that being said, guys, let me now discuss my 3 angel investments that I made in 2020 and share with you as much information as I am legally allowed to share. Alrighty guys, so number 1 on my list here was the first angel investment that I made, which is Yada Savings. It is a prize-linked savings account, which I think is really cool because here in this country we have a big problem with gambling where people spend way too much money on scratch-offs and lottery tickets. Essentially, Yada Savings looks to satisfy that gambling itch by allowing you to get tickets based on how much money you deposit. It is fully FDIC insured, and rather than earning just a base interest rate, your money is pooled, the interest is pooled, and you earn prizes and a smaller rate of interest. So essentially, guys, for every $25 you deposit, you get 1 ticket into the weekly drawing where you can win up to $10 million. And recently somebody actually did win a Tesla from this Yada Savings prize pool. So people are winning real prizes, and honestly, guys, I'm down for anything that helps people avoid wasting money on things like gambling. So that's the very first one. Probably the one you're most familiar with based on other people in the personal finance community who have also became investors in this company. That's all I can share for now on Yada. My second investment was, wait for it, another bank. I invested in a second bank. This one is called Oxygen Bank. Now, Oxygen Bank, I'm going to be honest with you, it's still really cool, but it's not as exciting as Yada. They don't have any fancy prize pools and they're not giving away Teslas. But what they do offer is really solid digital banking solutions for personal and business, and they kind of gear their business towards freelancers and millennials. That's about all I can say on that, guys. It's just a digital bank. I'm sure they have more products in the pipeline, but for now they're basically focused on banking accounts for freelancers and business owners, and essentially just not being a crappy bank, you know, and loading up with fees, just doing what's right. That's why these fintech companies are winning, is because they're just doing the right thing rather than entrapping people and doing all of these other things that the big banks do. So that's all that's going on here, in case you're wondering. And then lastly, third and finally, guys, I actually just got the talking points from the owners of this startup here where I invested in, because I had no idea what I could and could not share about this startup, but I have invested in a company called NetRise, which is going to be in the cybersecurity space, specifically related to IoT or Internet of Things devices. This is a seed round that I got into here very early on. There's nothing. There's no website. This company is just at its inception level. This is the definition of ground floor here, whereas I invested at like the friends and family round for the initial seed funding. So this is pretty much as early as you can be to a startup, but do keep in mind that means I'm taking on the maximum amount of risk possible. However, based on the track record of success with the management team of this new company, I do have confidence in this investment in the long run. So let me share with you a little bit more detail now. So real quick, guys, I just want to tell you about the co-founder and CEO of NetRise, which is a man by the name of Tom Pace. He actually has a lot of experience in cybersecurity and has already had one very successful exit from a startup called Cylance, which was actually acquired by BlackBerry for north of $1 billion. And I believe it at the time was one of the fastest growing startups in the cybersecurity space ever. So basically, some original members of that Cylance team have gotten together and they're starting another company called NetRise, specifically involved in cybersecurity solutions for IoT devices. I'll go ahead and put a link to these different startups down below on their websites if you simply want to take a peek at them and, you know, peruse them. And I would love to hear what you guys think about these different investments that I have made. Not to mention, guys, I'll also add that link to NetRise website. However, it's just a static page right now until the company is actually launched. They literally just formed the LLC and everything and got the bank accounts going last year. So it is the beginning of this company. So I actually am hoping to have maybe Tom come on the channel at some time and maybe we talk more about this investment. But for now, that is all I am allowed to share. But hopefully you can tell, guys, I am very excited about that particular investment, as well as Yada and Oxygen Bank. I'm very passionate about fintech. I love what they're doing to democratize finance and make it easier for people to save and invest. And you know, I just think this is a good thing for people to disrupt these big financial players and allow new entrants to the market. And I'm just very happy to be fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm allowed and able to capitalize on these trends as an accredited investor. So the question that you guys are probably all wondering now is, do I think stocks are now a bad investment? And my answer is a resounding no. I've been investing in the stock market now for around 6 or 7 years, pretty much since I was 19 years old. I will continue to. The majority of my net worth is still in the stock market, and it probably always will be. However, as I explore different assets and different opportunities out there, I'm finding more interesting things that I personally want to put my money behind rather than just piling my money into the S&P 500 or index funds and things like that. Now, I may end up looking like a moron and maybe the S&P 500 outperforms me, and if that's the case, I'm going to share that with you guys here on this channel. But I kind of view it as my duty here to try different things out for you guys and share this information with you. That way you can learn through me. And the other thing is, I just don't see a ton of value right now in the stock market. Since we have really gotten back to all-time highs, I find myself perusing stocks once in a while, and there's nothing that I personally look at where I'm saying, oh wow, I really want to buy that. The only thing that I'll be doing this year for the most part is reinvesting my dividends. I might play around in my speculative portfolio, and I also may at some point rebalance my M1 Finance dividend portfolio just because some of my stocks have gone up massively and I'm very overweight in certain sectors. So at some point I may rebalance, but I'll tell you about that in my update video in a couple of months. Also guys, the other reason why I'm avoiding more stock investments right now is that it's very unlikely to see, a 10x or a 100x return or something like that in the stock market unless you're like Warren Buffett and you're investing for the next 50 years. However, with a startup, it's much higher risk but a higher reward potential if you do in fact have a big winner. However, again, I just want to restate this, guys, that, angel investing, venture capital, this is not for everyone, and it is something that is much higher risk than just putting your money into publicly traded companies. That is why you are required to be an accredited investor, but the restrictions have gotten a lot looser, and now there's simple licensing requirements that anyone can get that would allow you to invest in accredited investments without even having the net worth or income requirements. So I'm also going to add down below a link that discusses accredited investor status, just so you guys are aware of what those requirements are. But essentially, I want to see if I can get a big winner here. I want to invest in 10 startups in the next 2 to 3 years, and I'm hoping that just one of those startups is one of those that goes 100x or 1000x. And I may lose all of that money or I may be correct, but I'm going to continue to update you guys here. All that I know is, as far as me putting more money into the stock market, I just personally feel that based on the opportunities I have in front of me, I just think there's better places for me to be putting my money than a stock market that, in my opinion, honestly doesn't seem to have many deals right now. So right now, between my cryptocurrency portfolio, which is a lot smaller now because I sold a lot off for my purchase of my home, and then my property in New York, which is a house hack, and then this house in Florida, I feel like I have a good mix there of a little bit of cryptocurrency as well as real estate, and then I also have my dividend stock portfolio, and then beyond that I also have some smaller investments as well, like crowdfunded real estate and some other smaller alternative investments. But I feel that is a more well-rounded portfolio, and I like knowing that my money is in a wide variety of different assets rather than just piling everything right into the stock market. So anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. What I would like to do in the future, and I want you to let me know what you think of this, I'd love to have Our Crowd sponsor another video, and I was talking to them about if I made an investment on Our Crowd, and then every couple months or maybe once per quarter, I might do an update video here on this channel sharing with you guys as much information as possible about the world of venture capital and angel investing. So if you like that idea and you want to see that, please drop a like or leave me a comment just so I know. Also, a big thank you here to Our Crowd, guys. Not only is it a resource for accredited investors to literally invest in deals right now if they want to on that platform, even if you're not accredited, for free, you can go on there and learn and attend events and just be in the know about startup culture and so many different things. There's a lot to this, guys. There's a lot to learn. I'm certainly still learning. And so I encourage you, if this is something you're interested in, even if you're younger, get exposure to this and start learning. That way, when you are my age, you're in a better position to be making this type of investment. And of course, if you do decide to check out Our Crowd, I would very much appreciate your use of the link down below, just because they are tracking that. And if the promotion does well, I'd love to have them back here on the channel, because I very much believe in the product, and they have an exceptional track record so far with Lemonade, which went public, and Beyond Meat, which were two of the hottest IPOs in recent years that Our Crowd investors got in on very early. So thanks so much for watching, guys. All of those links are down below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.